I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we called the meeting to order. We have a full board this evening. And moving to the consent agenda, before we do, we did start the rotation of a board member meeting with Karen to go through the invoices once a month. That got emailed out to everybody in a sign-up rotation list. If you can't make your time, please let us know a couple weeks in advance and we'll bounce that schedule. And if it has to be short notice, we'll still come. So tonight we have for the normal consent agenda. I don't know if there's anything you wanted to add from that session that you have with Karen.
It was fantastic. It was great. Karen was able to explain. I got to see the process. I have notes in case anyone has any questions, and I think I can answer them. I feel prepared. So thank you, Karen, for your time. I appreciate it. It was great to work with.
Any questions on the minutes from the last session or the invoices or financial reports?
They are in a different order by
We
bucket.
never approved the agenda either.
Yeah. Yes. And there is one change to the agenda there in item 9. We're adding one more parent to open enroll out and 2 more open enroll in, total of 3 students out. So do we have a motion on the agenda?
Move to approve.
I second.
All right, we have a motion to approve the agenda with those changes by Chris, seconded by Sarah. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. All right, any questions on the minutes from the last meeting, invoices or financial reports?
The invoices are by fund, and I really liked that. That's what I'm saying. By silo.
Appreciate the changes there. No questions? We have a motion.
I'm wondering if we, with the 109,000 in total funds in miscellaneous, if we could get a little more information on that. Not this moment, not at this moment, but just, because that's a sizable number.
There was, I think I know the answer to this.
This is income.
Income?
I think this top part's income, isn't it? Yeah, it's total revenue, 9,000 of income. You're looking at this number here.
You can ask
You're
me.
looking
So
at
your
the
miscellaneous
report.
is a miscellaneous income source. So that's one that does not fall under one of the state funding silos. So that can be federal grants, that can be a lot of different things
Yeah.
in terms of miscellaneous income.
Yeah. No, I
So-
understand that. I understand miscellaneous income. It's just a big number. So,
And each year it is. If you want us to break it down, we can bring that back or push that back out for you.
just a little bit, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, because all of these empty spaces, I'm just wondering if the miscellaneous could fill some of those, just so we know.
Say that again.
Well, there's a lot of empty space here. So I was just wondering when the miscellaneous is 110,000, if we could maybe just have a little enumeration of what's in there.
What if I just put an asterisk at the bottom and let you know what they were?
Oh, that would be amazing. That would be amazing. And not like to the penny or dollar or something, but just like broad categories. That would be great. Thank you.
Just one quick question, looking at it kind of first time in this new report. What's the difference between the grade cells and the ones that aren't grayed out?
The green ones are usually ones that won't affect the other accounts necessarily, like your activity funds and that. Basically, that's just admissions, concessions and whatnot. So there's not gonna be any state or anything. So that's why those are grayed out that way. That's just to let you know that there's probably not gonna be any revenue coming into any of those sources and whatnot.
Okay, appreciate that.
I felt like I came so prepared and you all asked me questions.
Well, that was just income, and you
I
came
know,
up expense
I know,
information,
it's
so it's
easy.
different.
Without checking, I'm gonna guess one of those is probably the elementary's grant, potentially here, because, well, we can't talk about it because it's embargoed. Has any of those funds come in already?
That's August. That has been here in August.
That comes in August?
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's coming then.
That could be some, that's probably title money that came in, would be my guess, for the last, the second quarter. It came in July, and I don't think titles were listed on there. I'm not looking. But I'll definitely note it in an asterisk at the bottom or along the side where this line and stuff is.
Seconded.
All right, we have a motion by Chris, seconded by Mike to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Okay. So next we have what's going well, middle school, high school.
Good evening, everybody. Our school year's off and running, and we had a really great start today with all the teachers back in the building again. We had a little bit of fun this morning by welcoming Parker Aiden, who is the Chamber Executive Director, who led us in some music bingo, and we welcomed 6 new teachers to our faculty. Many of the teachers chose to go to lunch together here in town, which is a treat they really only get to do during PD, and they rarely get to do it, well, actually never get to do it during the school year. So it's fun to see them, hey, you guys want to go to lunch? And everybody was kind of hanging out together today, which was great. This afternoon, we gathered again to talk about a few of our big items for the year, which are increasing student achievement and reducing chronic absenteeism. I shared with them an early warning system that our building leadership team created last year, which is a tool that allows us to track individual students' grades, credits earned, attendance, and discipline referrals. And then that data is used to determine if students are either on track, at risk, or off track. And then from there, we can determine what interventions the student needs. The goal is to catch students early to get them on the right track towards graduation. So this is new for us, and it's going to be a work in progress, but it's a really good way to track data and hopefully catch kids sooner rather than later to give them the assistance that they need. Later on this evening, you will have a chance to decide on the recommended compensation for our newly forming career and technical student organizations that I talked to you about last month. And I really want to thank the teachers for submitting their plans for their groups and for embracing this new opportunity. And I also want to say that I do believe we've come up with an equitable way to compensate our very hardworking, knowledgeable staff for taking on these projects. So let's have an awesome year. Any questions?
I love what you're doing with the early warning system. Wondering if that's something that would be metrics that you'll share with us monthly or quarterly. How do you foresee that coming?
I would like to see us get it rolling first and run data through. And as we address our chronic absenteeism from the opening day,
Yeah.
That's going to be a lot on our plate to track. But I think a few months in, maybe second semester, we'd be ready to share some numbers about where we're at, what we've seen, what trends we've seen, because by then we're obviously going to be addressing them. The hardest part, like I told the staff today, is the next steps, the now what. Like, we're really good at identifying things sometimes, but we're not always good at the next piece of that. So that's a work in progress. So.
Really like where that's going and what's happening with CTSOs. Exciting for new teachers. Any questions?
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tracy?
Good evening. The elementary started out our first day back with teachers today with an escape room activity. This was designed and set up by 2 of our staff. Everyone had fun, and the first 2 teams to escape received prizes. We also welcomed 2 new staff to our district. I also wanted to share that we are already getting scholarships for 3-year-old preschool approved. We're grateful to partner with Linking Families, who is helping provide this opportunity for the PAC families. Finally, our staff was busy getting their rooms ready for the arrival of students. Families, I want to remind you that you will be receiving a back-to-school conference sign-up for grades prep through second soon. And then grades 3 through 6 are come and go, and those conferences take place this Friday from 10 to 6.
Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions or?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and we didn't have anybody sign up for public communication. So we'll move on next. First item on the business agenda is a closed session under Iowa Code 21.51J to discuss purchase of particular real estate. So do we have a motion to go to closed session? And this will be a roll call vote.
So moved.
I'll second it. All right, we have a motion by Mike, seconded by Jeff to go to closed session.
Boyson,
Aye.
Kearns,
Yes.
Jansen,
Yes.
Madigan,
Yes.
Cosgrove,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, we're now in closed session. We will head down.
Did you forget? Oh, man, I left my chips and
Yes,
salsa.
that's right. And just a reminder, we're still broadcasting.
I'm like,
Megan.
oh, I'm just talking about my chips and salsa. I left them in Robert's room thinking of that.
Might be very surprised.
They're going in there. You're gonna eat your chips and salsa.
You better apply for reimbursement of that.
No kidding. What are you talking about? Oh my God. And just all about this. Peyton and I turned her right away. Oh my God.
That's what I turned to.
They're still rolling.
I know, it's fine. I found out, or I read. I confirmed that I should not sit in the benches of the country tables. Could you tell? I almost, I would take it out, and I started falling and Doug all like, it just came behind me and saved me. I was like,
We put music together and I'm so mad because I wasn't putting it, I got 14 songs in and I said that.
I think that was my favorite night.
Stupid Dixon. You I'm so mad at it.
Okay, did she tell you something?
She,
Don't even,
it's just her. She snapped and
She hasn't fallen today, so that's.
so yeah, so like, it was her
Did she
and
get her head?
Tony
Huh?
and Katie on the table. Benson was the first one.
I'm glad it
Tony
should
Allen
have.
was second, third, fourth, and Benson was the fifth one.
You know, go back and
That's all
slay
we
it.
got.
tweeted that, or she put them on Snapchat when she won, so I won one today finally after like 8,000 songs. And so I took a picture of it, snapped it to me. It's on my board, I put it up on the board. I think you'll agree with me.
I feel like that was me with the Eagle Project, because it was like, I don't know, 10, 15 songs, you probably ran it
I
out.
think
Then it was like
Why
staring
have
at
you
me like.
Shazam, because I never know who it is.
That's what I use.
Yeah, we
Yeah, that's
usually,
what
yeah.
I will say, like, today, my phone picked up the songs a lot better than it did Saturday night.
Yeah, but that was so echoey.
It was, and that's what it was, is that, right, with
Because at
the talking and
fair
echoes,
thing,
yes.
for the Heritage Days, it was fine.
Yeah,
It was very echoey.
but yes.
I love playing that, it's so fun.
She
Right?
is accident.
Yeah, she's really good at it.
You may be coming someday for a ball.
Like a-
In other words, I should bring them all the bubble wrap.
Yes.
I think they have that board and you
I
can do
don't
that.
think they use that. I listed like 19 new staff members, including the learning, but a lot of them are the consortium, and they do have a lot of turnover there.
Yeah.
I think there's only like
Is it my fault?
2 or 3 people.
Okay.
They weren't bringing new people, and one of them was a parent that they didn't replace, she was in library and she was. I don't know.
I saw she's on the whole contract. So that's. She was.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I should have said.
I'm sure it's not in my,
I will be.
and if they said that Joe was going to be doing it on December, she's going to go to school. Just trying to. Hey, John. Where did I get now? I guess. Well. Can you? That's the area was, music making in Caribbean.
Parker said last year that he had it to do. And I was like, that might be fun.
This was, I thought it was the best one that we've done ever. It was my favorite ever. I love playing music. It was really two times.
As you look around the room though, there were some people that were just like this.
Oh, I know, they were.
I'm like, fun eaters.
I love that you.
I made Peyton listen to these things. It's not.
It definitely got better when we did the 80s.
Did Peyton freak out when you won?
Yeah, maybe.
I was in the dream and I thought I was gonna have that.
But I said, but I tell you what, so the second time I won, I said, if this is a bingo, I will bring you donuts next week. And so then now I have friends again.
And you said bread. Yeah.
Primary works.
Except for me.
She said me too.
I know.
Don't say that, not as good.
Sure.
Yeah. But these kind of,
Change my stickers.
oh,
But they're all messed up again. It's not an option. It's the EPA's debt. This is the idea. I love
good. classrooms and stuff, so that's what I said. It's the worst to say it, it's. She said, we're with your students, what? Like how long? We're certified to do it because you don't have that certification. You can't serve kids in rural areas. So I can I thought about going back to take classes. Just to have the. Yes.
Can you send me the shared sample package?
I didn't share it after that.
She had it, she already has it.
You know, just.
I have it here. Or do they just get, or do they just get aided credit?
It could be either way.
Either way. Or, I mean, they're gonna be credit free.
But the way to combat that is to have a school-based enterprise. I would like to have a store.
Yes, so just share.
Yes, thank you. Right? So she can sell her food. My kids can do business, accounting part of it, but they can take to. And it was workable, which really when for sale, I would have their offices.
Okay.
I don't want to take that because my was once. I'm trying to, ice cream, trying to do cats, they're just very strong. That part's good in my classroom, so kids, you can still offer classes, and kids can come, just a lot. Come in, take their classes, you can do those kind of. All of the things.
Yeah.
But they have no choice.
So.
I have to realize that we have to do that every day. And it's supposed to be. It's just. And the past just.
Oh, yeah.
It's be really fun.
Right. Right.
Don't you have to just get AP classes in You get to leave.
No, unfortunately, I do not. That was just toner on the radio.
I turned on the fan place and I forgot to turn it up.
I actually went my phone and no one was home. So I asked him, he says, I have not called you before, would you like me to call your mobile or call the Echo, which I'm talking to? I was like, call the mobile, and I found it was in the line for that.
Can't you use your equipment to find your phone?
At that point, I was, I didn't.
Okay, FYI, for the future, you're not home yet.
Echo goes to me, it tells me. It tells me when I have notifications.
I used to pay my phone off. Podcast recently, losing billions of dollars on that. Because like, they never figured out a way to monetize it. They've been selling them at or below cost, and then there's all the costs to like run the computer, run everything and keep it going. And do you buy many things through your Echo? No, you can't browse Amazon. And they said that there's a lot of problems with adding stuff to your list and buying, so people end up returning like lots of stuff. And so it's like actually really terrible for buying
And one
it.
of the little cousins at Bill's parents' house ordered Amazon Music for a year. Because they got the bill, and they were like, what is this? And here, they had the media set up to play, whatever. And then it did, and then it's like, it's not music, would you like it? And he said, yes.
Sure.
Because they weren't wrong.
Yes.
So they got, well,
Okay, was using Chris's phone and this was when he was working. And he was getting the add on. And so I was like, $100. I'm like, you are not letting him take your phone number. That's funny. Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. Then they've been like, through creative accounting, just like the department that supports it has kind of hidden the fact. So they counted like Amazon Music subscriptions as revenue, but they were really double counting that because that's an Amazon Music subscription. They were getting that revenue, but then the Echo was also getting the credit for it. So someone's like,
I
there's
have
someone
the
new.
one with the screen, I bought it, I got Amazon for yourself. Or my mother, because she struggles to call some, but she can just call me. Don't, please, just sit in the No, she's got it.
Yeah.
And she's like, we talked to the other cousins and get your phone. She's like, in the dorm. So they can call.
Oh, that's nice.
And she said, she's like, she likes to ask for time.
Hey, I can tell Karen, I was in my computer Karen, I had a computer plugged in. It's like, I couldn't figure out why my coffee maker didn't make coffee this morning, it's because it got switched from carafe to single. And so it kept saying add water, and I'm like, I poured half a pot of water in this thing. Yeah, it took me way too many times to push the buttons and make it because my coffee maker broke. Or I just realized it. Not the first time it's happened.
I'm starting to drink iced coffee. It was on. He loves it. He says it's so good. It's so strong. I like it.
You guys like your coffee without your cream and
That's
stuff.
why.
There would be like 8 of them in the fridge in the stack lounge because these guys kept on.
We had straight over. Oh, absolutely. They come out with pellet.
And then they'd be like, I didn't really like that, so if anybody wants any of it. I'm very frustrated. Unless someone's telling you, it's just.
But I don't want to still my coffee. That is,
Yeah.
you still have
Or
your
your dressing. Our baby would do your dressing. It's not like she didn't have.
trust me.
No. It's just literally. Okay, so just be careful of the door jam.
I walked into a big window at my sister-in-law's wedding in front of everybody, so don't feel too bad.
Try to make it go back. Were you looking at glasses on your nose?
I thought she tripped over wax.
I did that on the back.
Oh, that's it.
She did that on the way back.
You gotta really be careful walking around here. Because it's so fresh.
Well, you get a new pair of shoes, soles are really rubbery.
You know, Sam, we got shoes on Friday.
Oh, don't.
Give it a month.
FaceTime friends.
Yeah, give them a month. These guys tell me there's something else.
They're wedges.
Yeah, definitely give them a month.
I got some new shoes too. I got
After their session. What was it about? Did it say something about moving lines? What it was?
So there's a huge problem with the fact that the planning and the tiding needs everything else was happening.
Right, because you got
That's the reason why somebody else needed show up.
Picture of chaos. Yes.
been taking vacations this summer.
I swear, so like this down and he's not like then and start to go away. So yesterday they did. So he's doing great.
I know.
The last time we the Hall of Fame there was closed.
I would agree.
I'll move to come out of closed session.
I have a motion by Chris, seconded by Jeff to come out of closed session.
And roll call vote. Boyson,
Aye.
Kearns,
Yes.
Jansen,
Yes.
Halligan,
Yes.
Cosgrove,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes.
Motion carries. We're out of closed session.
Could I suggest maybe, board's pleasure, maybe move number 4 up now so that our guests who are joining us wouldn't have to sit here for those other bullet items?
Sure. Yes. We can go, so we'll move into number 4, which is around the truancy and chronic absenteeism update.
So on your in your packets on page 19 is where it starts. This is the old policy, which will be retired. I included it in your packet so you know what's coming out because the new ones will take its place. Page 20 is 501.09, chronic absenteeism and truancy. You've had some time to have this in front of you. Procedurally, we went over ISB's model policy. We met with county attorney and Chief Lou with the administrative team to see how this marries up with procedure. How would we carry out truancy since it's called out by law? You're going to do certain things and you're going to do them on certain times based on the numbers absences that are missed that are not excluded from that section of the code. In talking, we set it up as semester. Procedurally, on page 22, you get into the regulation side of this.
Can I just stop a second?
Yep.
So this one, the 501.09 is the new, what you're considering? Because it has an old date on it, so I'm just trying to,
No, the date at the top is when ISB
oh, that's not
originally
our
adopted
date.
it and then revised it again.
Okay, that's not our date.
No.
Okay, gotcha. All right, that was what was wrong.
Yep, procedurally, we put our dates at the bottom. So anytime it's at the top, you'll see that that's an ISB policy printed right from their website.
Gotcha.
Good question. Thank you. The biggest change here is the state and the feds have one definition, and truancy is a completely different definition. So from the state's point of view and from the federal government's point of view, an absence is an absence, and it doesn't matter what the reason is for it. So there really isn't excused, unexcused from a chronic truancy definition that the state and the federal government have in place. Part of this history of this change is the fact that Iowa has been found maybe not to be in compliance with the federal expectation in terms of chronic truancy. So as a result, we've got to change. In addition to that, you've got the truancy side, which is almost, Dan, is it safe to say the enforcement arm of this policy, basically? So any absence is an absence as far as the state's concerned and the federal government's concerned as far as chronic absenteeism, which will be incorporated as a part of the school's report cards across the state of Iowa, all school districts. We'll have that incorporated into their grading system that they give for each school district. Separate from that, and in its own track, is the truancy side. The truancy side does have exceptions for a list of reasons that are identified in that 501.09 R1, Regulation 1. In those cases, for example, anytime you've got a note for medical care, dental care, I'll just refer to it as medical in general. That's going to be an excluded absence for the purpose of truancy. A religious type of absence is going to be excluded for the purpose of truancy. In talking with county attorney and police chief, the plan will be for Police Chief Lou to be truancy officer and mediator for the county attorney's office. So he will work in conjunction with the county attorney's office for those two purposes as it relates to this new piece of regulation that we're being asked to fulfill. It will cut down the staff needing to go out and do these things, but it will also aid in the documentation side of those conversations because of it being run by these two outside agencies.
So that'll be recorded. So what are the differences between the federal and state? You said federal and state don't exactly agree.
Right now, they don't agree because under the state prior rules, we have excused absences.
More lenient.
Yes.
than federal. Okay.
And the federal government doesn't acknowledge any of those reasons. If you're gone, you're gone. And that's all they care about. The reason doesn't matter.
So where does truancy fall, under state or federal?
Truancy is a state piece. And it's got the exceptions basically for the things that you discussed and had concerns over before, right?
Right.
So when we're talking about medical illness, you're going to the dentist, you're going to orthodontics, whatever it is, as long as you're coming with a note showing that it was a medical visit, that is going to be an excluded absence for the purpose of truancy. Isn't going to change the chronic absenteeism for us as a district. So,
And we
But-
receive federal funds or grade. Do we receive federal funds based on chronic absenteeism or just a grade? What does that grade get us?
well, the state of Iowa grades school districts and we're scored basically on a number of metrics. One of the metrics starting this year is going to be chronic absenteeism. So your student achievements are, I mean, there are other pieces to that, but
But how does that grade have an effect on us?
the grade itself is what I would call more of a PR, because as people are looking at you, what do? We compare ourselves to the people around us. If you're looking at moving, you're comparing District A to District B, District C, in terms of making a decision based on what is perceived to be a better ranking or a better score. May not be the whole picture, but it is what it is, and we don't have control over that.
So if a child were to get mono and push them over the federal limit and then have something else come up that requires an absenteeism, the truancy officer would meet with them and then it wouldn't be a problem because it would be logical. Is that what?
The school's gonna work with the truancy officer to determine which students
Are
have
problems.
excluded absences that would excuse them, from lack of a better word, from the truancy side of the equation.
Yeah, we're gonna use
the word exempt.
exempt, and that's exactly it. So then you involve me. Now, we've already done this in a smaller model, so we would have trouble students or whatnot, or like, I mean, we had one in particular that he was just chronic, and mom would give me the keys to his house to go get him out of bed, because he absolutely refused. So that's what we're looking for here, you know, I mean, and by getting the law enforcement officer to show up and say, no, we care, we wanna know, and then that's my job, is to sit down and, you know, initially, you know, once we hit our numbers, the number of days missed, and again, I'm getting involved to sit down, and you're right, is it really mono, or is it, you're gonna know right away, because I come into the household and there's a lot of dysfunction and chaos. And then I also have, since I deal a lot of mental health and stuff, I can start offering those referrals right away as I see those problems. But then it saves the school district the time so they can worry about the education piece, and I can work on the home piece.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing.
It scared my teenager.
And just to kind of cement it in my brain, it's our problem that they're missing school because of our grade. Is that what we're saying? Or what are we saying
No,
exactly?
not entirely.
Are enrolled in public school, then we have a responsibility for them to be there a certain amount of time. And to know that they're following through with the decision that their parent made to put them in to public school.
What
Iowa
the
code
parents'
says a student 16 years of age and
Yeah.
below is to be in school.
So, but what if mom gets up at 4 AM to go to work and the kid just chooses not to do it over and over and over again? I think that gap, right, is,
So we would be fulfilling the mom's wishes. Is that what we're saying?
No, I don't believe that's what we're saying. What we're saying is you have a truancy law in the state of Iowa. Iowa's code was written stating thou shalt call the county attorney when absences reach a certain level. So when you look on page 22, you'll see school engagement meeting. All right, so when you take a look at this, if a student is absent for 5 days, the school will send a letter to the parent and guardian. After day 5, the truancy officer will be notified of an attendance concern. So on day 6, we're reaching out and notifying the truancy officer. Truancy officer mediator will be Police Chief Alex Liu. If a student misses 10 days in a semester, school corporation cooperation agreement will be created in consultation with the student, parent, guardian, and school official. So we're gonna have a meeting. We're gonna talk about what is it gonna take to get them into school.
Because by law, the student needs to be in school.
Correct. If a student is absent from school for 15% of the days or 15 days in a grading period, semester, which is a little off of the 15%, but we went with round numbers to make it easier for parents. So if you notice it's 5, it's 10, it's 15. The school official will attempt to find cause of the absence. This gets into those exceptions piece. Start and participate school engagement meeting. And then all the following individuals must participate in school mediation, and the mediation will be led by Police Chief Alex Liu.
And just make sure I'm understanding your question, Sheree. We're doing it for the legal sense, but for the student sense, it's also, are they here? Are they engaged? Are they learning? Are all those different pieces? If they're chronically absent, chances are all the rest of those dominoes fell, more than likely.
Right, but I'm saying it's the parent's responsibility to get that student here. That's the missing link there. As a school,
Well, and Sheree, I can give you real world examples just in the last year without using names. We had one and mom was working hard and she'd gotten a new job. And so she had expectations that her daughter and son that had already graduated or had left the school were going to take care of those. Well, what she didn't realize, she's driving to Sioux City every morning to try to earn money for her family. Her kids weren't coming to school. Well, then, elementary says, hey, we're not seeing this kid, what's going on? And so then I interfaced with mom, and so after about 3 or 4 meetings, we started having success because, even the kids were then became concerned with coming to school and everything else, to the point of where I'm offering rides in the squad car, because we're like, especially with the little one. And then the older one, who was having some emotional difficulties and stuff, we were able to refer her on, we were doing those things, and I think we came out at the end of the year very successful with that. So it's that encouragement and that stuff is so, trying to bind them to the school and get them, hey, I want to come.
and that's a parent that is involved.
Right.
Yeah, that's what, I want parents to be encouraged to be making sure their kids are there.
I'd feel encouraged if Chief Cruz showed up at my house for this.
Yeah. I have a question for you. So you're chief of police of Pocahontas, city of Pocahontas. So you're authorized to go anywhere in our school district?
Correct.
Anywhere in the county you can go?
Correct. And I mean, number one, state code gives me one for a state certified peace officer, we're state certified anywhere.
Okay.
Number one. So number two, then we already, whenever we have an assault, it ends up involving, I've had to go all the way up to Marathon before, so yes, so we'll be able to work those things out where we have to.
Very good.
And I've actually already communicated with sheriff in Calhoun County about it and stuff, so it's a very good working relationship, thankfully, up here, so.
And I think the code says the enforcement for the truancy side is the county where the central office building is located, and that's in your policy here as well. So it's clarified as to who has jurisdiction, so to speak, in terms of dealing with these situations.
If they go beyond that.
But the parent who's doing the right thing, that we will be able to work with them.
Absolutely.
Okay,
And we've had,
that's my
again, yeah,
concern.
we've had those cases too, where again, it was, there was just some, again, usually it's just something that they needed, something to get the coordination or some piece of communication that gets lost between. So you put somebody else in there, so what's going on? And they're like, well, I thought, and we, so it just helps bring that. And you're right, when a police officer shows up at your door, it helps sometimes stimulate a little bit of a conversation to say, hey, let's get this sorted out.
This is serious.
Yeah, and it's unneeded conflict, so let's do this.
Right.
I have yet to have any major, I think you only really ever had one serious one last semester that was obviously very resistant to the process, so.
So any kid who's enrolled in our district, whether they live even outside of the county, you would still be the truancy officer. I have one other question in that same section. Is it 5 consecutive days
Yeah,
that then the
that's what
letter
I'm
would go, or is that after
It
5
can't be
days?
5 days.
5 days.
5 days.
So no, not consecutive here. Everything is counting, basically. And
So-
it doesn't matter whether it happens in the first 2 weeks of school.
If they run to the dentist office, that's absent for the day. That's 1 day.
No,
That'd be.
our absences run by period. At the secondary level, it's usually half day, full day at the elementary.
So a half day, if you're gone half a day, then it's an absent
And
day.
it's a half day. If you're gone for one period, it adds up by minutes.
Okay, so it's,
So
I mean, if you're
here-
going to the dentist, that doesn't count.
So the high school 9 periods is gonna equal a day.
With
So
the
you
notes.
could miss first period 9 times, and that's gonna add up to 1 day absent.
Okay, gotcha. That's good.
But in terms of kind of how those two are separating, that's absent, but it wouldn't qualify for truancy absenteeism because you're under that list of categories of doctor notes or religious events. Those things don't count as truancy. They're absentees, but they're not truancy.
The list is gonna be found on page 20.
Yes, the bullet point list.
We ready to make a motion?
Yes, I'll move to approve.
I second.
All right, we have a motion by Chris, seconded by Sarah to approve the chronic absenteeism and truancy policy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan, for coming.
Thanks for
So
coming.
we're going back to the-
And for all the time that you spent helping us get to this point.
So do you need to do anything for number 1 at all? We're done? Yep, okay. All right, gotcha.
All right, so we're gonna go back to number 2 on the agenda, which is the transportant quote for bus cameras. You'll find that on page 15 of the packet.
How's this compared to prices of the past? Jeff?
I'd have to look it up and see what they were.
So is this 2 buses and this is quantity 2 or 3?
Yeah, there's two. The 2 buses that we bought, we'll put in, we talked about this.
Right.
Cameras and stuff on here.
So we're gonna, one 8, last 4.
That's the subscription, so one is hardware, one is the technology.
Yeah, what you're looking at is the hardware for the 2 new buses that you approved. And
Yeah.
then you've got the subscription fees at the bottom for those same 2 buses.
And page 16.
And then page 16 is training that we can then have our staff certified to make repairs, change out cameras if a camera goes bad,
Okay,
and not void the warranty.
okay, that's the
The
part. I was-
initial buses, they were about 4,900 apiece.
Up a little bit?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, nothing's come down and they'll ask us.
Right, last thousand, but. So the last time, Jeff, did we include the installation certification training?
No,
We didn't do that?
They just did it for us.
they come and install them all.
Really?
How many more would we have for installation after this?
There'd be probably another 3 buses that don't have them in after we put these
Plus
units
anything we
in.
rotate.
And then after we get them all, and then every time you rotate, just take them out of one, put them in the next bus.
So the bus we sold doesn't have cameras in it.
One of them don't, one of them is, and we're gonna take that unit out. So they'll show us how to remove it and install it in one of the new buses.
Oh, that's great. That's good.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Chris, seconded by Mike to approve the hardware annual subscription and the training for transportant for the new buses. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimous. Okay, next would be the CTSO compensation and recommendations. That's on page 18 of the packet.
I want to start off by thanking PAEA members who came in and met with the admin team, started talking through this. Ideally, when we started talking about this, we were looking at seeing how this played out and then go back retroactive. Then we moved to put something in place currently so we could get something lower stress levels for people to worry about, not having to worry about whether or not they were going to be compensated. In checking with some other districts and around, we could either look at a flat dollar amount or extended contract days. The consensus was go with the extended contract days. So what I'm recommending this evening is to approve 10 extended contract days for each of the programs listed on page 18. Those would be your first 4 bullets. And I'm also recommending at the end of the fiscal year, which would be June 30th, at the end of activities, that we just do a quick, short year-end report to the board about those activities so that we have the data we need to assess if something needs to be modified up or down for any given program. And that just would include the minimum program membership, description of projects and activities that the CTSOs participated in. And then they're required to do an annual program of work report and just share that same report back to you as board members at the end of the season, end of the year.
Can we ask that they present that report in person so that we could kind of have a back and forth with that CTSO about the future of that program?
I'm certain Andrea can work with her staff to make that happen.
I thought you might want to hear from students too.
That's what I was.
Yep.
Yeah. That would be
I have
fantastic.
a question too. So if they end up doing 8 CTSO days, we're approving 10, will the full 10?
You're gonna pay them for 10, starting
Yeah,
off.
because it's gonna go in their salary, okay. And then if they do 12 or 14,
Then we'll revisit it for the following year and see. The first year you put something into the program, you're not necessarily as efficient as you are the following year, right? Same thing is true when we take on new jobs. We get better in year 2, year 3, and year 4, generally speaking. Now, it also may expand during that same course of time. So you just have to continually assess and take a look at where it is. But there is no perfect way to do this.
Do they think 10 days will work? Would be about right?
It's in line with what other schools are starting with to see where they're at.
This seems like right in line with innovation that we're talking about.
CTSOs and expanding that's been exciting all along the way. I love where this is going. The only question I had as you went through that was the 10 days extended versus the lump sum. Either way, I imagine is general fund.
It is.
It is. So there's financially, is it kind of the same number? Lump sum or the 10 days, and did they?
Well, your 10 days is a 10-day per diem. So each of these instructors will have their per diem and 10 additional days added to their contract, basically. And then that will then be paid out over the course of the 12 months.
Yeah.
Just like it would for anyone else that has an extended contract.
I'll make a motion, I move to approve.
A second.
A motion by Sarah, seconded by Cherie to approve the superintendent CTSO recommendation. All in favor, please say aye. Yep, it was unanimous. Okay, Next, we'll be on to number 5, discuss approve handbook updates, the elementary student and parent, RLC, high school student and coaches.
The first one, elementary student and parent, the RLC and high school student, you looked at last month. The difference here will be now that you have approved the chronic absenteeism and truancy, those pieces will now be added to that. And your coaches, we sent out over the weekend for you to take a look at, and that also will have that same attendance piece inserted back into it.
There was one name that was wrong.
Which one?
Signature was, did not change to Berenson on one line item, and she did on the other one, so.
That was me. Thank you, good catch.
And the verbiage that's going in there is just basically including the 709 that we just discussed and voted on earlier tonight, right? Those will be added to those handbooks, the truancy and absenteeism.
Correct. We'll take out basically, we'll incorporate what is excused or not, not using the right word. Exempt. I gotta change my way of thinking here. We've been excused for a lot of decades here, excused, unexcused. So it's going to be the language of exempt. Count as far as where each of those different things happen will also go into place in that, in terms of what's in that policy.
Move to approve with the changes.
I second.
Right, I have a motion by Mike, seconded by Cherie to approve the student handbooks with the changes for truancy. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Okay, next is discussing the Pomeroy facility progress.
I just have one question, under 4D,
Yes.
we didn't, so that one's talking about using federal funds.
Yep, we skipped over that one, because that one's different than the truancy. Thank you for catching it.
Yes.
It's bolded or highlighed, and I missed it.
Yeah, no, it is highlighted there. I thought it was
So it's 4D on your agenda.
page or
So-
something like that.
So for A, B, and C,
Does it have its own sheet?
It's way in the back. And look, it says 70 something. Hold on there yet. 80, 76, 78, maybe. I see 78. 78, 78. But I don't see the policy.
well, it could have gotten eaten by the copier.
I was looking through earlier, I didn't see it there.
I can pull it up on my computer.
Electronic
We
package.
see it better. So that's fine.
I'll just pull it up on mine since I know I've got it. And I'll read it to you. It's one that I really don't want to postpone. I'd like for you to approve because it is necessary for one of the grants that we're trying to obtain. Doesn't mean we're gonna get it, but if I don't have this policy updated, we definitely will not get it.
So should I make that a separate item underneath? the minutes?
I would go ahead and probably go ahead and do that. Yeah.
75. Using federal funds in procurement contracts, right?
That's correct. That's the one we're looking for.
Do you want me to read it? I have it up.
Do you have it up? Is it the new one or the old one?
I have the old one.
We need the new one. It may take me a second. You want to hit one of your other agenda items
Yep,
while I
we
try
can
to
come
find
back to
it? I
that.
apologize.
Um,
What folder it's in.
So next would be the Pomeroy facility progress update, RFP update, abatement timeline, and testing contract. Did go meet with the Pomeroy City Council at their meeting last Monday. Widely attended meeting by a number of other folks for a lot of things that Pomeroy had going on. Met with them, updated them on the progress that we had gone through on the RFP, all the different avenues that we had gone down, as well as what our timelines were, why they had passed, and ultimately just bringing them up to speed that we were past those timeframes. And at this meeting, we would be getting a contract from Mr. Kramer to proceed with the asbestos abatement removal round 2. And when that starts in early September, that would be some destruction to the outside shell of the building and would really kind of stop any thoughts of any other avenues that Pomeroy could pursue. And we wanted to just let them know that that was the point that we were at. That's what would be coming before the board today, and basically letting them know that's where we are and asking them that we need to proceed and we want to do so with your blessing, which was received very, very positively given the circumstances. And I believe that Pomeroy is also ready to move forward now. The contract for that is on page 25.
The abatement.
For abatement, yes. And this is basically the agreement. They would get started so that they would be done in time to be done by mid-October before a freeze. And having to have water available for the asbestos removal is why we're on that time frame, so that we don't have to turn on the heat to have that water available.
Andrew, can I get you to run to the office quick? I printed 8 copies of it so that we can pass that out. So my recommendation to you is to approve your abatement, your testing. So this will be the asbestos testing, which will collect the information you need to then go to the abatement stage next. Once that's finished, then we move on. We've already passed the point of no return as far as getting the boilers recertified. So I'm recommending to decertify or decommission those boilers at this point, moving forward, and then proceed with your testing, abatement, and then from there into the demolition phase of this project.
Yeah, move to approve.
A second.
Did you?
Yeah. I have one concern in the contract, and it says Impact 7G will patch all roof samples locations with roofing compound, because I'm sure there's stuff in there that we probably need to get out and try to sell.
Correct.
Yeah. But then at the bottom, it said, it is our understanding that the building will now be demolished. Impact 7G will use destructive sampling measures to collect building materials and will not be repairing sample locations. So if they're in the roof, they're not gonna fix the roof. It'll just leak in there.
I believe we can ask for those to be temporarily patched.
Okay.
I do think they are saying they're gonna temporarily patch the roof.
That's my sense too. That was my
No, but this
understanding.
paragraph underneath of it disagrees.
I will simply ask for that to be the case. That if they're gonna do a coring in the roof, that is then
Well, I get
cold
patched.
patched.
Yeah, that's fair.
Work with the Historical Society and others to get things out of that building.
Correct, and they're planning right now at the end of the month to move their items out. We'll have other items still that will need to be moved, secured.
But you're already working with the Historical Society to get their things, and that's already been scheduled. Other things in the building, we'll work on getting those out as well.
A motion has been made and seconded.
Any other questions? Okay, so yes, a motion has been made and seconded. We have a motion by Mike, seconded by Jeff.
Yep.
To approve the Impact 7G PSA contract. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous.
We'll head back to 705.01 R2.
Okay. We have a copy of.
So this is the updated version of what we currently have.
Can you give us an overview of what's different?
it's code references for the most part that have been changed in this one.
So is this saying that, are they allowed to use, what are we saying?
This basically is, if you notice on the back page, out of all the policies we've been doing, this one has a very long list of code in terms of what you're trying to align to. So this new language basically, as you go through it here, is they've updated some of the language as far as your bidding and definitions. The grant we're applying for required the new federal definitions, which are what's showing up in this particular variant from what you had before. They had already gone through ours and we did not have the most recent, so as a result, we need to have the most recent in order to apply for that roughly $150,000 grant that I'm working on.
So when we
right
say not of financial interest, or a gift of unsolicited item of a nominal value, how do we determine what a nominal value is? So like in healthcare, it's like $100. So if your patient brings you pizza, it's not $100, then it's considered to be non-negative, like, what is the?
It's not a bribe.
Yeah, it's not a bribe. What is the value? Because I like to give my teachers, like for Teachers Week or whatever, Amazon gift cards, because I think they probably don't need another Apple coffee mug. And I know that they spend their money out of their pockets.
So when you're talking about the teaching side, now you're
Yeah.
getting in, it's a little bit different than what this is pertaining to.
Okay.
But for the teacher side, for it not to be a gift, it has to be under I think it's $4.99 or $5. That is what the
You
threshold
can't buy
is.
anything for
I
$4.99.
understand that. That's why we're working with the process so that later on you'll notice in the agenda, I'm
Okay.
asking you to approve some things
Oh, perfect. So it's
so
a
that we're
different thing.
in compliance.
Okay, thank you.
This is with contractors or parties to subcontracts.
Okay, I
Yeah.
thought they were the same thing because they're in the
No.
packet about the same place.
This is using federal funds in procurement contracts.
No,
So-
that's perfect. Okay, thank you.
So this is gonna relate to the grant that we're writing right now. This would relate to if we had another round of federal dollars coming in from like another pandemic.
So the biggest thing is here is just the increase in the numbers for the Fed stuff, right, Joe? Is essentially what it is.
I believe so.
Okay. That's all I'm
Perfect.
concerned with.
I have not done a word-by-word comparison of the two
I
because
understand
the
that,
Fed
sure.
said you have this one or you can't apply for the other.
So yeah, they look very similar.
I move to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Sheree, seconded by Sarah, to approve the policy 705.1 R2, purchasing and bidding using federal funds and procurement contracts. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous.
Perfect.
Okay. So next we have discuss approve some lane changes. First, we have one for Keenan Lewis and one for Tiffany Clausen.
Do they get a new degree? Do they?
2930, in this case, our salary schedule is set up in such a way in the past where staff are compensated as they're either moving in additional hours, graduate coursework, or a degree. And the degree determines the lane. And while we don't have a salary schedule, we still recognize those movements as staff are improving themselves in terms of their education. So we're asking, and this is a twice-a-year opportunity, so staff, at the beginning of the year and after end of first semester, there's 2 windows basically in our district where staff can advance, and then we make those changes at that time.
Perfect. I move to approve with congratulations on their,
Yeah, congratulations
Yeah.
for moving forward and doing the extra work.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Sarah, seconded by Chris, to approve the lane changes for Keenan Lewis and Tiffany Clausen with appreciation and recognition of the work they've done to move forward. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. All right, then we have some of our board policies to review. These are policies that need to be reviewed annually. Go through them one at a time and then we can vote at the end.
I can read each of these to you, or I can give you the topics. How would you like me to do so?
Has there been any changes?
That's,
No,
summarize changes.
So
Yes.
if there's not been any
this
changes.
is a review of an
simple
existing policy with no changes at this time. So,
No.
so you've got long-range needs assessment, parent and family engagement, educational records access, student records access, which includes subpoena letters, juvenile justice agency information sharing agreement.
I have a weird question.
Yep.
So in, our policy, so if your kids' records are subpoenaed, you get a letter saying, hey, your kids' records were subpoenaed.
Correct, that way you have a chance that if you wish to use your own attorney to,
Seek counsel.
But when the justice agency requests them, then there's no letter that goes to the parents letting them know that their kids' records were shared with the justice system?
not necessarily, if we're talking about a DHS situation, we don't share that information with anyone and it's forbidden by Iowa code.
Yeah.
And
But what
that's-
if it's not? Then are they shared?
If it's not a DHS, we typically, if we have a request for a record, then it's either gonna be a parent sign off or a parent notification first.
Okay.
The only examples I can think of where we've had that is a DHS investigation.
That's rare.
Yeah, they don't happen very often. Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, or FERPA, as we refer to it, on page 53. You'll notice these come in more than one language. Student library circulation records is the last one. Which is 506.4. So the ones you're doing annual review on are 103, 103R1, 505.8, 505.8R1, 506.1, all of the 506.1 series exhibits. So that's exhibit 1 through 10, 506.1R1, and 506.4. And I would recommend you approve under your annual approve, waive the second reading, and put them on final. Since there are any changes.
So moved. So I just got a question, like page 31, and it says long range needs assessment. Do we have a leadership team established?
Say that again?
Do we have a leadership team established?
The underlined part as far as the yearly review on page.
Our district leadership team consists of your TLC members and has since TLC has come about. So it substituted in and took the place of what used to be just a building and district leadership team.
Okay.
And now that role is fulfilled by your TLC staff.
Okay,
Comprehensive school improvement team.
yeah, I'm just, because it just says like the paragraph above where it's underlined, authorize the appointment of a committee representing administrators, employees, parents, students, and community members to make recommendations to the board.
And that's
And
done
assist.
yearly as a general rule. And most of the time, it's admin that present it unless we can get a parent who is comfortable presenting in a public environment.
Yeah, and assist the board in determining, but we do that.
Yes,
We did, okay.
In fact, we just had a comprehensive assessment done. That was a year ago, year and a half ago, probably.
Okay.
And that was done with the help of Iowa School Board Association, actually.
Thank you.
I'll second Jeff's motion.
We have a motion by Jeff, seconded by Mike, to approve the annual policy reviews of 103, 103R1, 5058, 5058R1, 5061, 5061 exhibits, 5061R1, and 5064. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
I recommended.
He made the motion based on your recommendation,
Yes,
but
yes,
yes, so
you waived the second reading.
we did waive the second reading. No, I appreciate that very much,
Yeah.
Aaron. That's a great catch, and it is how Joe called it out, but it is how I should have repeated it also.
Did Tracy get that?
So,
Let's ask, she's typing here, we'll give her a second.
thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Karen. Okay, moving on to open enrollment requests. We have in your packet on page, beginning on page 63, I guess, you have 3 open enroll outs. I'll identify the names. Inside the packet, you have more information, but we're not gonna talk about confidential information inside of that request. So the parents' names, Jeremy Haroldson is requesting an open enrollment out, Jacob Christensen is requesting an open enrollment out, and Mandy Rasmussen. Parents requesting open enrollment in, Christopher Davidson and Michael Frazier for 2 students. And then the specific details are in your packet, starting on page 63. Any questions about open enrollments in or out?
I'm recommending each of these as presented.
I move to approve. Second?
Second?
We have a motion by Chris, seconded by Jeff to approve the open enrollment in and out. All in favor, for those 6 students as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Okay, next is discuss approve fundraising requests, and we have 2 to discuss. I'm not sure, you're gonna present them, Joe, or someone else?
I can, the elementary one, this is their regular ones, Club Choice and Book Blast fundraisers. What we're trying to do is get back into where we should have been for a very long time, and that is making sure that you as a board are approving these fundraisers before they physically happen.
I would like a request.
What would that request be?
If you will make something, right? Like, my kids always want whatever the little toy is or something. I will pay you a check to not have to do this fundraiser. If they can have some little squishmallow or some whatever, I swear to you. Because there's, we have how many kids in elementary or in the, and then it is a lot. I have to buy something from all of them. I don't know what to do with all those things. I will just write you a check if you can just give them a squishmallow. I would like that to be an option.
We will have to work with each of those companies to find out whether or not we can do so or not.
That would be fantastic. I will just write you a check.
I
Give me the number.
An opt-out option
Yeah.
to pay instead.
And then you get 100% of my funds, right? Like, or whatever. Yeah,
We'll look into it for you.
thank you. That would be,
I get where you're coming from. Letter B under this one is the teacher wish list, excuse me. I believe that's list of those are on page 78 of your packet. These are for classroom supplies. we're asking you to approve these. Current culture is crowdsourcing. However, that marries up against some other things, so this allows us to make sure everyone is covered. So what I've asked is staff to simply give a list of what they had done, and we're gonna ask you to retroactively approve those. And then moving forward, we'll try to do this in forward sense
Yeah.
versus the backward sense.
I love this, then we don't end up with 70 Apple coffee mugs.
Can we direct people who might be watching publicly where to find these wish lists?
Each of these have them, or have had them published on their own personal Amazon, and they've advertised it, whether that's through Facebook primarily, I think, is
Or
where,
when they do that, when the teachers
Staff
do
has
their
shared.
like open house and get their, like, all about me, how to contact me. It'd be nice if that was there for when Teachers' Day comes up or things, so then I can,
we just ask the staff before they do so
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
come to us so that we can get those prior approved
yeah,
for you.
good to move forward, yeah. Yeah, I like it. And that part of that comes back to the talk we had before with, no, the education before, in trusting that they're doing,
Innovation.
yeah, innovating, they're innovating for their classroom, they're doing what they should be doing with our support. Do we approve them together, or do we?
I'm doing them as a package. There's no reason, in my opinion, trying to break these down or analyze.
Perfect.
I would just ask for you to approve it.
Well, I move to approve.
A second.
We have a motion by Sarah, seconded by Sheree to approve the teachers' Amazon wish lists. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. All right. Just to clarify, that was for A and B.
Yep.
All right, so next is discuss approve administration application for early retirement. This is for Mr. Kramer. This is something that the board and Mr. Kramer has been working on together for several months. Do want to recognize that he's beginning his 20th year of service. And there are several things I would like to briefly point out there. During that time period, he's planned and coordinated nearly $20 million in construction and remodeling updates, including the new middle school, high school building, elementary remodel, new middle school wing. He's partnered with city and the hospital, created several partnerships for us in many different ways over his tenure. He's mentored new superintendents for school administrators of Iowa for both Humboldt and Manson. He successfully led the reorganization back in 2011 for Palmer in Pocahontas area. Implemented the athletic sharing and tuition sharing agreement with Lorenz Marathon. Successful passage and implementation of the instructional support levy. That's just a short list of the highlights. And frankly, we're going to have to work very hard together over the next year to fill Joe's shoes should we accept his retirement plan. So the application is before you. This is the one that we reviewed back in July. Any questions about the administrative voluntary early retirement plan?
I'd like to move to accept with appreciation.
One second.
We have a motion by Sarah, seconded by Dustin, to accept the voluntary early retirement plan with appreciation for 20 years of service for Mr. Kramer. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I heard everybody. All opposed, same sign.
I'll say no, because I don't want to.
I'll say no too.
Motion carries 5-2. Okay. Next on the agenda is the discuss approve early graduation requests. This is on page 80.
92. Or 91.
91. And this, Stu, there's just the one on both pages, right?
Mhm.
So, met all the requirements, is eligible and.
Will meet. So if you'll notice when you look at this is for the end of the semester, the first semester, so that she kind of knows what you're going to approve, so she can begin applications for college as soon as she has her requirements met.
So I can move to approve pending her meeting the requirements.
Yeah.
Yep,
So was that your motion?
that's my
I'll
motion.
second it.
Thank
Okay.
you.
So we have a motion by Sarah, seconded by Chris, to approve this application pending the student completing her requirements. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimous. Okay, next, nice addition. So we have a 28E sharing agreement opportunity with Newell Fonda for the RLC. That agreement begins on page 93 of your packet. At a very high level, if you wouldn't mind just kind of.
Yeah, at a very high level, the alternative school, or what we refer to as the Regional Learning Center, that's located currently on the backside of Central Office Building. Mr. Friesner is the director and lead teacher for that program. When it was established, I believe it goes back to Mark Reynolds. This was set up in conjunction with a number of area schools. So originally, it was, I believe, 4 or maybe 5 school districts. Humboldt has since started their own program because they had enough students that were coming here. It made sense and validated for them to have their own program versus put their kids on the road to come this direction. At the current time, Newell Fonda still participates, the rest do not. So this agreement, while it may list other schools on here, it is Newell Fonda that has been the partner with us for a number of years, all the way back to the beginning, to its inception, as far as I'm aware.
And are they planning on sending more students this way this year?
I believe they have students for this coming school year that they would like to have this be an opportunity for at least.
And from our end, it helps diversify funds. They pay sharing costs, no additional costs on their side.
Correct.
Any questions? Do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Dustin, seconded by Sarah, to approve the 28E sharing agreement with Newell Fonda for the RLC. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Okay, item 14, discuss approve the foreign exchange student. I believe that there's some information there on page 93.
No, there isn't. That's the RLC agreement.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that material's here. We have, well, I'll let Andrew speak to it maybe.
We have
One.
one female student who is living with family here in town this year.
I believe she's from Italy.
She's from Italy, yes.
What do we need to approve?
Say it again.
What do we need to approve?
By policy, you're required to approve foreign exchange students. You do not receive funding for them. So they will be attending here and receiving their educational experience. In many cases, they have already graduated within their own countries before participating. I can't answer if this young
Do they
lady
qualify for
has.
credits?
Rob says only if she's 6'2" and can play basketball.
Okay, we'll look for special recruiting for that in the future. Benefits.
We can target certain countries, I guess, if you would like, but
Positive cultural impact historically, big benefit to the school and getting some of that exposure to the students and allowing that international student insight in-house. I assume this is a recommendation to approve.
Yes.
I'll move to approve.
I second.
We have a motion by Chris, seconded in a race that Sarah won.
Yes.
So to approve the foreign exchange student. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Okay, item 15, we do have one personnel resignation. Margaret Kudla, bus driver, and she did allow that we could read her resignation letter. Just one moment. I restacked all the stuff. Dear Jeff Holder, Mr. Kramer, and Board of Directors, thank you for the past 7 years of affiliation with this school district and the opportunity to build relationships with the kids in this community. My position as a school bus driver has given me great joy. Whether I worked full-time, part-time, or on a route, or driving an activity, I was proud to represent this community and the students we serve. I've decided to accept a job in Durand, Wisconsin, and am moving there in September 2024. Please consider this my notice and final communication as an employee. I look forward to visiting and seeing the continued growth and prosperity in this community. I pray for all of you who serve and for the students in your care. May God bless you as you meet the challenges facing you and experience the joys awaiting you. With much respect, Margaret Robbie Kugler. Thank you for the letter, appreciate that. Do we have a motion regarding her resignation?
Move to approve with appreciation from the district.
Second.
We have a motion by Mike, seconded by Jeff, to approve the resignation with appreciation from the district for her 7 years of service. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Okay, next we have some contracts. We have Justice Point Associate, Christian Rosado Associate, Gavin Hurlid Counselor, Byron Essing Bus Driver, Roger Summerlot Head Girls Track, Matt Lentz Assistant Football, Regina Walter Elementary Secretary. TLC contracts, do you have?
That's on page 96, I believe, the list.
Last page.
And for the TLC contracts, the TLC coordinator, Brian Friesner, TLC committee, J.C. Lockeray, Jackie,
All right.
Instructional MTSS coach, Terry Samuelson and Keenan Lewis. TLC mentors, Chris Henriksen, Gwen Johnson, Susan Olerts, Chad Francis, Sarah Freeberg. And BLT members, Amy Meyer, Amber Evans, Kristen Olson, and Megan Benson.
What does BLT stand for?
Building Leadership Team.
It's making me hungry.
Did get me hungry.
Is
Okay.
it-
Any questions on the contract recommendations, or do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Sarah, seconded by Cherie to approve that list of contracts. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Okay, superintendent update. Joe, you have some?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank this board and all the people I've worked with over the years. I've been blessed to be a part of PAC, and I'm blessed to work with some amazing staff and boards. Want to draw your attention to November 21st. You've been talking about it for a while, but if you don't have it on your calendar, I would encourage you to please do so and see if there's some way that you can free yourself up to continue your board learning as a board at the Iowa School Board Convention. In the past, we have been blessed to have years where we had the entire 7-member board attend. That is quite an accomplishment, I'll be honest with you. It's kind of cool when you're sitting down there as a group of 7, all from Pocahontas area, and other school districts maybe have a single representative for their district.
To wear our better shirts too.
That's right.
I have my PTO approved, I'm ready.
So I encourage you to see if there's some way that you can join us for that.
Is the sign up for registration open?
Yes, it is.
Okay, good.
So once you start looking, we've got a little bit of time, but we'll need to start the process, basically, getting hotel rooms booked and registrations completed.
And which days? The 21st is a
November
Thursday.
21st would be everybody. The first day is actually the 20th, and that would be the delegate assembly.
I have the 22nd on my calendar.
November 20th.
And the 22nd typically is a partial half-day. Board presidents.
President's workshop.
Workshop is one of those on that last day.
The 21st is kind of an
It's an all-day event.
laundry list of training sessions. Pick the ones that are most exciting to you.
Yep, in the past, we've kind of talked about what we're gonna go to and then kind of divide, conquer, and then share information afterwards.
I speak very highly of that last year. It was a great educational experience from a school board perspective, very eye-opening on a lot of fronts. Would love to have all seven of us.
That's where you got portrait of a graduate, isn't it?
Next item, just to draw your attention, we're continuing our conversations with sharing with Lorenz Marathon. Transportation is looking more like a second semester or possibly next year. They would like to get their camera systems and software compatible with what we're doing before making any transitional shifts. But we're working on that. We'll also be working on sharing some counseling time as well. Discovery Daycare update, as I've shared with you in my Friday updates. Discovery Daycare, which we are one of the founding groups that helped form this. This is a collaborative effort between the school district, the city, and the hospital. It was formed initially because of a lack of daycare within our community and its negative impact it was having on each of those three businesses trying to recruit applicants and not having daycare for those said applicants in order to move their families to our communities. We've struggled more recently at a couple different times since we put this together. But for the last decade, roughly, they have been self-sufficient. School district's contribution, just as an informational piece, we operate as their fiscal agent for payroll purposes. So their employees show up as quasi-employees of the school district because it's under our umbrella of processing their payroll. They're able to access IFRS, which is a benefit in terms of being able to recruit. The hospital and the city initially each put up, I believe it was $60,000 to make renovations so that the center could open. They utilized some of the underutilized space at St. Peter Lutheran Church, who made that area available for this purpose so that we could have adequate daycare options or at least increased daycare options. We were down to the point where we were in a critical mass in terms of being able to retain. We kept hiring and kept losing staff on kind of a cyclic cycle. In an emergency session, we raised wages up from $11 starting to $13, very similar to what you did as a district for our associates. They also went to doubling their signing bonus from $2,500 to $5,000, I believe it is, and a retention bonus of $5,000 for the 3 full-time staff who have been with the center, one of them, since it opened. Good news, I guess, to share with regard to that is because of those efforts and the publicity and people helping get the word out, they've had a number of applicants. They interviewed 3. They have offered jobs to those 3. And those individuals will be starting in the coming days. One, I think, started actually today. Another one is set to start on August 26th, and another one is set to start on September 3rd. In addition to that, we've got 2 additional high school students that have also just been hired for after-school help at the daycare as well. I want to knock on wood because I don't want to jinx anything, but this is good news. And it's good news for our families who rely on safe, reliable daycare for their children. So this is not what I was necessarily expecting to be able to bring to you tonight. This is fairly fast turnaround, but it's good news. So we're going to hope this continues. If it gets dire, because it was set up initially to make sure that the hospital, city, and school district employees had priority, if they would have to reduce at some point in the future, those individuals would have a priority status. Ideally, we don't want that. We want to be able to run at capacity. In the past, we've been serving approximately 50 kids in and around the area through Discovery Daycare. So it is serving a substantial population of young people.
Does those 5 hires, including the 2 part-timers, does that close the gap, or there's still some positions they're looking for?
I believe that may close it. Now, there may be an opportunity. There's a couple other people who've also applied that they may be able to add 1 more and expand a little bit further. But they want to make sure we're in good solid footing here before we go down that path of adding additional students.
And just one clarification so the public understands as well. The finances are running through the school to pay them, but the Discovery Daycare is 100% self-sufficient. They're paying the school the funds to pay their employees, which allows us to run it through IPERS, but the school is not putting any of our public funds into that. And legally can't.
Correct. Okay. If the school were to run, and schools do, and we've had them in the past, but they have to operate in the black, and it's really hard to do to run a program. We have just been blessed to have very low overhead, and we've operated on very efficient numbers so that we're able to do it. And they've been successful at getting some of the COVID grants, so they've got a little bit of cushion. So this was never about enough finance. This was enough human.
About finding people.
Yep.
Okay. Good.
And that's, I believe, everything I have for this evening.
Okay. So Karen, you print up all the checks and all that for the,
Employees of Discovery Daycare.
okay. Do you get paid from Discovery to do that?
No, we're considered a fiscal agent, so it's just part of the job.
Okay.
Very similar to what we do for the booster clubs. So we process their checks for them as well. And not everyone necessarily in the community knows that, but by having them under the school's umbrella, it provides their volunteers a level of protection because they're incorporated into our audits. So as a result, it's a safety.
Less personal
umbrella.
liability of where the money went.
Correct.
Good.
So they authorize when we're going to pay, what we're going to pay, and then we process those for them on their behalf.
Okay, any questions of Joe's update? Okay, next would be committee work and updates. PR committee, the only meeting was with Pomeroy City Council to just remind them of where we were at in the time frame for the building, as I discussed earlier. Collective bargaining has not met. I don't think Sharon's committee has. Okay, and facilities committee, I don't know if there's anything, I know you guys met and we had the meeting in closed session, so we're kind of restricted on what we can say there. If there's anything else facilities?
The guy's been working hard. I know they've got a lot of things accomplished. Right now, we're working on a bid for they're working on a bid for the central office to get reshingled. The air conditioners for the elementary. Do we know how those portable ones have been working at all? Since
Well, we
installed?
haven't had a student load in there yet, so
Are
not
they hanging on
definitively,
right now, though?
but we have them operating in 2 rooms right now.
Okay. I know there was a few items that they haven't got to yet, but they're busy, so. Was there anything else, Jeff?
Yeah, we talked about door security. Said we have to have 3 bidders and they're still working on getting that. We have to have 3 bidders to be able to be eligible for any grants. And some of the bidders have already done a walkthrough.
Anything, I know I wasn't at the meeting, but was there anything on the elevator for the elementary?
That one, we're still waiting to hear
Still
back
waiting.
from.
Hear back if we can do it.
that
Yeah,
according to the code.
yes. Yep.
Page 97 of your packets has, I think, that summary that Dustin was referencing and that Jeff was referencing. Just,
Yep.
you can kind of see what's been done, what's in progress.
There's a lot.
Not really facilities committee, but it is facilities, and I heard this from several board members tonight, and I wanted to point this out to Andrea, and I think Jeff has a piece in it, and probably Greg White too, but the summer crew that you had,
Yeah.
building looks awesome. The floors, so shiny,
Floors are
everything looks
shiny.
great in here. They definitely put in their time this summer, and
Absolutely.
it was just very noticeable. Wanted to ask you to thank them on our behalf.
Sure.
Okay, discuss board calendar and board training.
This is
So,
my pump for, did you fill out your board self-assessment? That's in your email. It is due on Monday, the 26th.
Mine's done.
Oh, good for you.
I think
And
we
then
got two.
we will meet again on 9/12 at 5:30 PM for the second part of that.
So everybody, we got 1 week left. That survey, how long did it take you, Jeff?
5:30.
Probably take 20, 25 minutes, probably.
Just set aside that half
Yeah,
hour,
I
45 minutes sometime this week and
I didn't really look at the clock, but just plowed through it, got it done.
I think mine took like 20.
Yeah.
all right. I do appreciate you building out and maintaining that list and keeping it in our weekly updates. It helps drive that a lot of things. All right, we're on the table for some board takeaways. You want to go first?
I'll go. I just want to thank Joe for 20 years.
I guess I approve, or second that. Thank you.
And congratulations to Keenan Lewis and Tiffany Clausen on their line change too, putting in the time.
Sarah, you want to add anything?
Let's try to put that board thing in. Sorry. Yes, I appreciate Joe's time and the work that he's had to train us a little bit with the new board, but thank you very much.
Good job.
I liked our discussion on the truancy thing, and I think that's gonna be a good thing. I mean, the state needed to do something to get our kids to stay in school. And I'm looking forward to how that's gonna work, and I hope our kids wise up and parents too, that school is important. So that's important.
Mike?
No, I'm good. I'll talk to Joe tomorrow probably. If he's got time after, or you will have time after school tomorrow, or if he's school. I'll be there around 4:30.
And I'll highlight one first and then I'll sound like a broken record after that. But the Discovery Daycare options, that was a lot of exciting things that happened since we last talked about that. You highlighted how that's impacting our staff and our communities, and that was an exciting, unexpected thing that happened. And the other side is.
And I should have named one other person if I can.
Yes, please.
I want to make sure I give credit. So when we started this process, I don't know if it was 15, 20 years ago, somewhere in that range. Because it was shortly after I got here. James Rotman from the hospital was one of the key partners as we were working on creating Discovery Daycare. And the other individual who was instrumental was Greg White, who was working at the city at that time. Without those two individuals working together with us, we could never have accomplished that.
We're serving 50 kids, as you said, and about half of them meet that staff needs of those three entities, and the other half we're able to direct towards students who are coming in that are just general community. But yeah, that is been very beneficial for us, and part where I sound like a broken record is the appreciation of the 20 years of service and the way that you work with the board. Thank you. Okay, our next regular meeting is September 16th at 7 o'clock, and we will have our training session at 6:30 before that. And the next training session
Is not Sir Kent too. It's gonna be something new, so make sure you guys are all ready and pumped. Something new.
in September, one more time, on the next board session.
September 12th, I think 5:30 is the time we had agreed upon for the review of our assessment.
So it'll be a Thursday night.
To adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion by Chris, seconded by Sheree to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
know.
Pick up
Cheese.
time. Yeah.
I know, doesn't that sound good, like salami and meat and cheese? Yeah, I think that sounds like, I don't know, I'm really hungry. Tonight, I have pizza. Yeah, I'm hungry. I know.